So here I am, I'm going to demonstrate the buttonhole stitch. Again, this stitch has many applications. I like to use it kind of like as a creating a decorative edge on a satin stitch. So you can think of it that way. Sometimes too you can create a buttonhole stitch basically around a buttonhole if you're doing a traditional one all by hand. And also you can do what is called, and it's not only called a buttonhole stitch but also a blanket stitch, where it goes around the edges of a blanket or an applique. This is the same concept. What we're going to do now is I've just kind of drew two guidelines for us, and our buttonhole edge is going to occur on this side, or a blanket stitch, and then this is just going to be a standard stitch over on that side, or basically what it's going to end up looking like. All I'm doing here is just anchoring in my threads. I for the most part don't use any knots at all. So all I've done is just basically come back into a back stitch, and I'm coming up just like you do in a satin stitch on the left hand side of the work. And what I'm going to do is come down on the right and back up on the left, getting ready for my next stitch, but this time I'm going to make sure that this working thread gets pushed underneath the needle. I'm going to pull tight, come back down on the right, go up on the left, again making sure it just goes right underneath the head of that needle. Pull taut, move things around right here, down on the right, up on the left, underneath the head of the needle and pulling it through. Down on the right, up on the left, underneath the needle. Pretty easy to do actually. It just kind of comes naturally, and before you know it we start getting this wonderful little edge right here, this kind of blanket stitch or buttonhole edge. So it's coming down on the right, up on the left, and once this starts filling in, we'll basically be filling in the covering up our little anchor stitch there that we're just starting to cover up. Down on the right, up on the left, just like a satin stitch, except for we're just making sure that the working thread goes underneath the head of our needle, just right there. Just something that simple creates that beautiful edge. Just like a satin stitch, except for we're just doing something just slightly different. This works great too around, I do this in my oak and acorn design pillow. There's a center area design that I work this for. Just gives it a little extra, just a little extra design. And one more time, down on the right, up on the left. And now to end this, all I'm going to do is come right down here, just take a little bite into the fabric, and that closes it. And it also allows for me to come right back in, and when I start a new thread, I'm going to basically, let's just pretend that I ended this right now and cut it close. I would just clip it right there to end this, and I'm going to start a new thread. I would basically feed this through the back there, getting ready to start, coming back up here on the front of my work. I'm going to basically take right exactly where I left off, come up right, not quite the same hole, but kind of in between it. Come right back down on the right and up on the left. This time I am going to go in that hole that I ended before and basically do the same thing. So right there in that one shot, we ended the stitch and then pretended like we ran out of thread and started a new thread at the same time. You might need to massage those into place with your fingernail there, but basically when this is blocked correctly, that will completely disappear. And that is the buttonhole stitch, or the blanket stitch. Kind of the same name. And I'll demonstrate this going around in a true applique. You can do this stitch basically anchoring the edge of a true applique on a quilt or anything like that, and we can do that as well. So that is the blanket stitch or buttonhole stitch. So thank you for watching.